A man was found dead with a gunshot wound in a crashed car on the Watterson Expressway. This happened yesterday around 4:30 p.m. when police responded to that car on 264 near Breckenridge Lane. It had flipped and hit two other cars. Officers found the driver inside that car dead on arrival. No other injuries were reported. A mother accused in a DUI crash that killed her 3-month-old child is now in jail on a $200,000 bond. That's 18-year-old Lily Pena, who appeared in court this morning. A public defender argued while she admitted to drinking alcohol and taking Adderall hours before that crash, she was not over the legal limit at the time. However, there is a zero tolerance policy for anyone under 21 regarding alcohol and therefore that DUI charge. Police said that morning Pena rear-ended another car at Newburgh Road and East Indian Trail, causing both cars to catch fire. Her child was rescued from the burning car and later died at Norton Children's Hospital. Pena is charged with vehicular homicide, DUI, and wanton endangerment. An Elizabethtown man accused in a double murder this week already served time for killing his mother and brother some 30 years ago. 45-year-old Dustin Cardell appeared before a judge Thursday for his most recent case. E-Town police said he confessed to shooting two men and then intentionally setting a fire that broke out on Henerson Lane. Investigators identified 41-year-old Blake France and 43-year-old Anthony Garrett as the victims. Witnesses reported seeing a gold pickup truck speeding away from the scene, which police found at a nearby motel. Surveillance video showed Cardell leaving the truck and throwing away a handgun. The personal belongings of the victims were also recovered from his motel room. He's now facing several charges, including arson, murder, and robbery. And just 30 years ago, when he was 15 years old, Cardell killed his mother and brother in Meade County. This is 30-year-old footage from our archives showing that teen when he was taken into custody back in the 90s, when he was found guilty of 2 counts of murder and sentenced to 20 years in prison. The jury in the federal retrial of former Metro Police Detective Brett Henerson has not reached a verdict after a second day of deliberation. Thursday, the jury, consisting of 6 men and 6 women, asked the judge a major question, asking, do we need to know whether Breonna Taylor was a living victim when Brett Henerson fired? We know, according to the judge's instruction to convict, jurors must find Henerson deprived a living victim of a constitutional right. Well, this came a day after stunning closing arguments from defense attorneys who said Breonna Taylor's civil rights died with her that night, saying Henerson fired his shots after the former detective Miles Cosgrove had already fatally killed Breonna in her apartment. Taylor's family is frustrated by that claim.
It's painful because when you're dealing with a situation where it was a botch warrant to begin with, that's like a slap in the face. It's like an insult to injury.
And now Henerson is accused of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights and her neighbors after police said he blindly fired 10 shots into her apartment in March of 2020. He faces a maximum sentence of life in prison if convicted. A Cincinnati interstate and bridge remain closed at this hour after a massive fire this morning. Calls started flooding in around 3:30 with a nearby playground up in flames that quickly spread around the Daniel Carter Bridge in Newport. Though no one has said yet how it happened, the bridge and both sides of Interstate 471 over the Ohio are shut down as crews work to determine if it's still safe to travel. The Louisville Historical League says it is filing a lawsuit to stop the plans for the Urban Government Center redevelopment. Plans have been approved to turn 9 acres of blighted land in Paristown Point into a boutique hotel, office space, and parking garage. The group say the developer never submitted an updated plan to the city for public review, and several aspects have changed since 2020.
If they had gone with what this developer was doing in 2020, this would be done now. We wouldn't be here today. However, if they want to do what they're proposing, they need to go back and issue another RFP.
Local architect Steve Weiser said they will file a lawsuit in the next 2 weeks. The press conference just happened around 10 o'clock this morning, and we've reached out to the city for a response, but have not yet heard back. 12:03, and the rain is out of here. I know you weren't out trick-or-treating last night, Sam, but I was.
How was it?
At one point, I just had to tell the kids, you know what? We're gonna be wet. let's just get past this.
Right.
And then we had fun.
And then he told them if they want to be a meteorologist, they got to get over it, right?
It was a fun night, but now just clear, beautiful skies.
Yeah, clear blue sky underway. It's going to be a pretty nice afternoon, Brooke. In fact, we're going to be noticing more seasonable temperatures for this time of the year today. Definitely feels like early November outside. So far this morning, or earlier this morning, we did wake up well into the 40s in much of Indiana. Those of us in Kentucky did see a lot of 50s, and that's where we currently stand. The airport 56, Lanesville 52, and we're still seeing that cooler air funnel into much of our northern spots, anywhere from Seymour to Bedford and Jasper, well into the middle to upper 40s right now. So later today, likely hitting 65 degrees in Louisville. The average high temperature now at 64 and the average low temperature at 44. Later tonight, again, a clear sky. We're actually going to be seeing plummeting temperatures with a lot of us into our Saturday morning into the 30s outside of Jefferson County. I'm actually going to be talking more in detail about just how warm and quiet the afternoon hours are on Saturday and on Sunday. And we're also looking at the possibility of some rainfall in time for Election Day. I'm actually going to be talking about the timing of the rainfall as we head to the polls with Election Day next Tuesday across Kentucky, and the full forecast straight ahead.
All right, Sam, thank you. Just 4 days now until Election Day, and early voting is exceeding expectations across Kentucky. Many of you are reporting long lines because of that turnout. We showed you the lines over at Bowman Field Thursday morning. Look at that. Some saying it took well over an hour to an hour and a half to get through. And once you get inside, there are 2 constitutional amendments on many of your ballots, which election workers think could be slowing people down. If lines get too long on Election Day, poll workers could enforce a 4-minute rule. That means you'd have to cast your ballot within that time. Secretary of State Michael Adams told us a good way to get around that potential complication is by voting early.
I'm voting early. The governor always votes early. Even Donald Trump is voting early. I believe Kamala Harris will as well. Early voting doesn't help Democrats or Republicans. It just helps the voters, and I hope all voters will utilize it.
There are 20 different polling locations throughout Jefferson County, and that is including the Goodwill Opportunity Campus on Broadway, the Jeffersonian on Taylorsville, and the Arterburn on 10 Pine Lane. Polling locations are open from 8 to 6 today and tomorrow. That is right. It's on Saturday, too. We've got the full list of locations for Jefferson County and Southern Indiana in our voters guide on WHAS11.com. You can also look up other areas of Kentuckiana for voting. And speaking of those amendments on the ballot, Kentuckians will also vote on Amendment 1. Voters can decide if they want this line added to Kentucky's Constitution, that no person who is not a citizen of the United States shall be allowed to vote in this state. So if you vote yes, that puts the language in, while a no vote keeps it out. We spoke to one voter who is in favor of the change.
Pay your time and your just dues like everybody else. And then once you get your citizenship, then okay, you have the right to vote. Yeah.
Another early voter, on the other hand, we heard from was a no vote, saying the language should be more clear.
Because I didn't really know what I was going to get myself into.
Kentucky's Constitution already implies citizenship is required to vote. This amendment would just solidify the law. Remember to join us on election night for the first results coming in on WHAS 11 News at 6. Then beginning at 7, you can catch us streaming on the WHAS 11 Plus app and on our YouTube channel. The WHAS 11 night team at 11 will have your election night recap.